In the wake of Charlie Kirk's assassination, there has been a lot of discussion about the far-right movement he was a part of. But the far right is a spectrum of different movements, and understanding them might help you understand what's happening in America. First, Christian nationalism. This group's leaders, like Kirk and Marjorie Taylor Greene, tap into valid frustrations with broken systems, but also exploit xenophobia and racism. They believe that the US was founded as and must be restored to a Christian state. For many of them, that means white dominance, and non-white immigration and multiculturalism are threats. Kirk himself said, quote, "You cannot have liberty if you don't have a Christian population," and called the Civil Rights Act a, quote, "huge mistake." The movement works within the system, and its leaders don't openly call for violence, but their rage-baiting rhetoric has inspired it, with adherents participating in the January 6th attack. A different strain is the techno-authoritarian or Dark Enlightenment movement, pushed by Curtis Yarvin and Silicon Valley billionaire supporters like Peter Thiel. They hold that democracy has failed and want an authoritarian society run like a corporation by an unelected CEO monarch and enforcing a stratified racial hierarchy based on pseudoscience. Finally, a view gaining ground across the far right is accelerationism. That's the belief that society is just beyond saving and its collapse needs to be hastened. This view is held by many within the Groyper movement, which is led by Nick Fuentes and seeks to establish a white, Christian, anti-Semitic, authoritarian state. It's named after its racist meme toad mascot. Fuentes avoids direct calls to violence, but his followers rely on online harassment, including threats of violence against political opponents and minorities. Some were also charged for their role on January 6th. The Boogaloo movement, on the other hand, explicitly calls for violence against the government. Its name, drawn from memes about the 80s movie Breakin' 2, Electric Boogaloo, is a reference to a second civil war. Self-described Boogaloo boys have been convicted of domestic terrorism plots and murders of government officials. A more personal nihilism is embodied in the black pill worldview, which cuts across these movements. Its adherents often identify as incels, and they want to destroy the progressive society that empowered women to reject them. The name comes from The Matrix, which is ironic since that film's directors have said that the pills were a trans allegory. Black pill followers are mainly misogynistic, but they have a lot of natural overlap with white supremacists. Most are passive, but the philosophy has inspired several mass murders. People in this country are hurting. They are frustrated with systems that are rigged against them. You can see how those anxieties are exploited in these groups and their visions, from building an authoritarian state to just watching the world burn.
Christian nationalist, belief system that fuses Christianity with nationalism, holding that a nation's identity, laws, and politics should be explicitly Christian. In the US, Christian nationalists often argue that America was founded as a Christian nation and should remain one. Groyper's a far-right, mostly online movement linked to Nick Fuentes. They are known for trolling conservative events, pushing white nationalist ideas, anti-Semitism, and culture war politics. They often frame themselves as true conservatives against mainstream Republicans. Boogaloos, sometimes Boogaloo Boys, a loose anti-government extremist movement. They often dress in Hawaiian shirts and military gear, talk about a coming civil war, the Boogaloo, and mix gun culture with libertarian or anarchist rhetoric. Some have been tied to violent plots. Techno-authoritarians refers to regimes like China or ideologies that advocate for the use of advanced technology, AI, mass surveillance, censorship to enforce strict political or social control. It's about using technology to maintain authoritarian power. Accelerationists, people who believe that worsening existing crises, political, economic, social, will accelerate collapse, which they think is necessary to bring about radical change. In extremist spaces, some use it as a call for violence to hasten the fall of governments or social systems. Black pill, an online subculture term from the pill slang. To be black-pilled means having a deeply nihilistic, hopeless worldview believing systems are too broken to fix, that collapse is inevitable, or that individuals are powerless. In extremist contexts, it can justify apathy or destructive behavior. How do black Christians fit in all of this? Black Christians don't fit into those extremist categories, quite the opposite. While white Christian nationalism has often defended hierarchy and exclusion, Black Christianity has been rooted in liberation, justice, and survival. From the civil rights era to today, Black churches serve as a counterforce, showing that faith can challenge oppression instead of reinforcing it. These groups rarely acknowledge Black Christians except to dismiss or sideline them. Their visions of faith and politics are usually built around whiteness, so Black Christianity rooted in liberation and justice stands outside, often treated as a threat rather than a partner. So why do some Black Christians normally vote alongside these groups? Some Black Christians vote alongside these groups not out of shared ideology, but because of overlapping stances on issues like abortion, LGBTQ+ rights, or traditional values. This alignment is often issue-based, not identity-based, but it risks legitimizing movements that ultimately reject or marginalize Black people and Black churches.